Bienvenidos a la 10ª temporada de La Oveja Eléctrica, en donde exploramos las geometrías más audaces de la ciencia y del pensamiento aquí en Canal 22. Hoy hablaremos de la poesía de la química con Roald Hoffmann, Premio Nobel de Química 1981.
¿Qué tal, Pepe?
¿Qué tal, querida Silvina?
Pues siempre es un placer encontrarnos en este espacio, sobre todo ahora, ya en la 10ª temporada de La Oveja Eléctrica. Será un gran gusto asomarnos al pensamiento de Roald Hoffmann, quien además de científico es poeta.
La ciencia acompañada con poesía y canto.
En la siguiente conversación, exclusiva para La Oveja Eléctrica, veremos pasajes que pintan de cuerpo entero la vida y vocación del Premio Nobel de Química Roald Hoffmann, quien nació en Polonia en 1937.
Roald Hoffmann, thank you very much for this interview for the Electric Ship in Channel 22.
I'm glad to talk to you.
Let's talk about the power of observation in different phases of your life. And we'll do it in a non-linear way. Let's begin with poetry. There is a very brief fragment of one of your poems that says, "The sun had set, I was alone, and through the loosely thatched roof, I could see the Pleiades." This has to do with windows.
Yes.
So let's talk about windows in your life.
Yes, so maybe the windows became early. Maybe it came from something in the wartime experience. As you know, I was a child in hiding during World War II. When the war began in 1939, I was 2 years old. When it was finished, I was 7 years old. The last 2 years, we were hidden in an attic of a schoolhouse in what is now Ukraine by a friendly Ukrainian school teacher. We did not leave that attic for 15 months. The only connection to the outside was a single window in the attic. It had a shade, but then it had fixed window pieces, slats, pieces of wood horizontally. And I could look at them, through them. I could move nothing. I could not open the window. And I could see, this was a schoolhouse. There were children playing outside at recess. And I always got up to watch the children because it was interesting. It was some motion there. They were kicking a ball. The people were moving. And they would pass out of the frame, and I would watch them, and then they would disappear. And of course I wanted to be outside, but I knew it was dangerous outside. So that was a window in my life early on. Windows to me, like doors, are not just openings, but they are passages. Something comes one way, something goes the other way. One observes, one watches. There is a connection to my science. I observe, I watch. In my case, the window is through some quantum mechanical calculations that I have, which tell me how the electrons move and how that controls the motion of the nuclei, but it's a window also.
And this observation, it's also carried into your work as a chemist. Let's talk about it, because in the book, The Same and Not the Same, you talk about the need of distinguishing.
You need to distinguish. Chemists have added to this world in 200 years of frenetic activity 70 million new compounds, 70 million substances. 65 million of them are white crystalline powders. One of them is salt, one is sugar. We had those before. One is penicillin, one is strychnine or a neurotoxin from somewhere. If they are put before you, will you taste them? Will you play chemical Russian roulette? You better not. your body knows even if you don't know. So your body distinguishes between these molecules. And one of the jobs of the chemist, not my job, but that of analytical chemists, is to find out what it is, to distinguish these things which are the same but not the same. So this is the title of the book. But the title of the book also calls up, I wanted it to make a connection to psychology, to the question of identity, the question of whether we are the same or not the same as another person is, to me, one of the most fundamental questions of our sort of consciousness and identity. We see ourselves similar, we see ourselves different. Okay?
Lo que cambia y lo que no cambia, el misterio químico del laberinto de la identidad. Más adelante seguiremos conversando con Roald Hoffmann, Premio Nobel de Química. Mientras tanto, vamos a una sección que nos abre al mundo sorprendente de las innovaciones tecnológicas con nuestra compañera Aura López. Pues querida Aura, como siempre, un gusto y vernos ahora especialmente al principio de la temporada número 10 de La Oveja Eléctrica. ¿Qué es lo que vamos a ver el día de hoy?
Vamos a hablar de la existencia de un dedo biónico que recupera la sensación del tacto. Vamos a verlo. Lo que estamos viendo aquí es un paciente que perdió un brazo y que ayudó en un proyecto hecho por una universidad en Suiza. Lo interesante es que este dedo biónico tiene microsensores electromagnéticos que se comunican con esta placa que estamos viendo aquí. Esta placa de plástico es la que va a permitir sentir las texturas ásperas o suaves y que también detecta las señales. Cuando el dedo biónico toca la placa, se emiten señales. La placa envía esas señales a una computadora especial que las envía al brazo del paciente. ¿Por qué logra detectar las señales? Porque previamente el paciente tuvo un implante de electrodos en el brazo y es así como todo esto se logra comunicar y él puede volver a sentir. Y un dato curioso es que en un 96% logró diferenciar las texturas suaves de las ásperas. Obviamente esta tecnología es algo que van a buscar desarrollar en un futuro no lejano para mejorar las prótesis.
Pues como siempre, querida Aura, te agradecemos mucho tu presencia aquí en La Oveja Eléctrica.
Muchas gracias, Pepe.
Continuaremos conversando con el Premio Nobel Roald Hoffmann sobre la química de la poesía. You begin to play it within your own head before, to see the structures, to see the combinations, how they separate, how they integrate. This is like a mechano playing tool that is very interesting.
It is playing. I play all kinds of games. I play games with myself. I have found out some time ago that a way of testing my understanding, whether I understand something about a molecule, what is its shape or why it has the shape, is to ask that question about the molecule at some extreme. I think if I enter the life of the molecule, if I am the molecule, then I can understand better how it behaves in various ways.
And in your work with words, there are some things that have changed and some things that haven't changed. Your last name has changed.
Yes, that was a geopolitical accident. It was not an accident. It was part of survival in various ways. My name when I was born, my last name was Safran. That was my father's name. My father was killed. My mother remarried right after the war. And my name became the name of my stepfather for 1 year, whose name was Margulius. And then a year later, we bought some papers, ironically, of a dead German in order to facilitate our immigration to the United States eventually. And so we became Hoffmann. My first name was Constant. It is Roald.
Exactly.
It is rather peculiar that a Jewish boy in Poland would get the name of a Norwegian polar explorer, but maybe maybe it gave me some incentive. I always liked polar exploration, and I became a different kind of explorer of molecules.
Also, there is something that hasn't changed symbolically and also in a very practical way, because in your biography, it's very interesting the presence of the books. You know, when your father had a notebook, and it's very interesting
Yes.
what he has written in that notebook.
Yes, it was that notebook. I just was looking at it recently. He started while in the labor camp. He started to take notes on a book about the theory of relativity, written by Hans Reichenbach, who was a popular writer at the time. I didn't know that it was that book right until I looked recently. And then when he died, my mother wrote some of her feelings in that book. He wrote part in German, part in Polish. She wrote in Polish. He was reading the book in German. He could read German. We all could read German, probably. You know, the book's Safran, the name, is the same root as the Hebrew word sofer. So it actually means perhaps a book, a holder of books, Safran. And so maybe that. I love books. Young people today come into my office and they say, "What are all those books? It's amazing." And of course, they're not used to it. But in my time, a book was the repository of knowledge. It was an entry into a different world. It was.
A window. We came
a window. And I did
again
not...
to windows.
I did not own a book till I came to the United States at age 11. We didn't have the money for books. I had books at school in Europe, but I didn't own a book. A book is a window on a world. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. I could not imagine life without books.
To end this beautiful chat, let's talk about the power of observation through poetry. What is revealed in the change of transformations through poetry?
Poetry can be several words that acquire a certain resonance with each other, that mean more than the words mean by themselves. It can be a compact description of something, very economical, very few words. What I love also is what I would call walking the tight edge of syntax. What I mean, syntax is that words, how words, verbs, nouns, and such are related to each other. I like short words. English is full of words that are short, that are Anglo-Saxon origin, that are stronger, and more Latinate words that are longer in general. It's very rich language, which I like, because there's usually several ways of saying the same thing. Poetry gives you, through words, a turn into the emotions, a key to a person's heart, to how they think. And I'm just never ceased to be amazed by the power that poetry has over us. It's so important.
Safran de Sefer, thank you very much. Querido Fernando Rivera Calderón, qué gusto que nos acompañes aquí en La Oveja Eléctrica.
Es un placer, mi querido Pepe, más hablando de estos temas que conectan a la ciencia con la poesía y con la filosofía también. Y de esas preguntas fundamentales que nos hacemos desde hace siglos, mi querido Pepe. A ver qué te parece esto,
claro,
a ver qué
sí
les parece a todos ustedes.
¿Quién soy? ¿A dónde voy? ¿Qué día es hoy? ¿Por qué estoy en un conflicto existencial? La realidad no es tan real. No sé si pienso y luego existo, o si de existir desisto. ¿Acaso hay una conciencia inmortal? Voy nadando hacia la nada que está llena de vacío, y aunque mi alma no está en calma, yo no sé de qué me río. Estamos solos, o hay un Dios, o tal vez hasta ya dos, o solo escucho el eco de tu voz. Sócrates, Wittgenstein, Heidegger, Kierkegaard, sálvenme, díganme cómo estar sin llorar, muéstrenme cómo entender este mundo, pues dice Cioran que es absurdo e inmundo. Hegel, Kant y Nietzsche, Schopenhauer y Platón, porque a los que piensan les va mal en el amor. Blas Pascal, Voltaire, Descartes, Rousseau, Bataille, Foucault, ya quíteme el temblor y el temblor. Sócrates, Wittgenstein, Heidegger, Kierkegaard, sálvenme, díganme cómo estar sin llorar, muéstrenme cómo entender este mundo, pues dice Cioran que es absurdo e inmundo. Hegel, Kant y Nietzsche, Schopenhauer y Platón, porque a los que piensan les va mal en el amor. Blas Pascal, Voltaire, Descartes, Rousseau, Bataille, Foucault, ya quítenme el temor y el temblor. Yeah.
Llegamos así al final de esta emisión, querido Fernando, en donde hemos explorado la pasión por el conocimiento.
Nos encontramos en la próxima emisión de La Oveja Eléctrica.